Zhang Ling and Tian Shui sat quietly in the dimly lit corner of the private lounge, the heavy weight of unspoken words finally beginning to lift from their shoulders. For months, the entertainment industry and millions of devoted fans had been buzzing with endless rumors about their secret romance, dissecting every shared glance on red carpets and every subtle interaction in behind-the-scenes footage. The constant speculation had become a daily soap opera played out across social media, leaving both actors exhausted from walking on eggshells in front of the public eye. Tonight, however, they had mutually decided that the exhausting game of hide-and-seek had finally run its course. The restaurant around them hummed with a quiet, expensive energy, but inside their private booth, time seemed to slow down to an absolute standstill. Zhang Ling shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his fingers gently tracing the rim of his empty water glass as he gathered the courage to voice what they both knew needed to be said. Tian Shui watched him with a tender, understanding gaze, her expressive eyes reflecting the flickering glow of the candle on the table. They had shared countless scripts, memorized dramatic monologues, and acted out deep fictional passions, but nothing in their professional careers had ever prepared them for the raw vulnerability of this exact moment. "We cannot keep living like this, pretending for the cameras when the cameras are turned off," Ling finally spoke, his voice low and steady, cutting through the ambient noise of the room. Shui let out a soft sigh, a mixture of profound relief and nervous anticipation washing over her delicate features as she nodded in agreement. The truth was that their connection had not sparked overnight in front of a live audience, but had instead grown slowly, organically, and quite unexpectedly during the grueling, sleep-deprived months of shooting their latest drama together. Long hours on set, shared late-night script readings, and the comforting solidarity of enduring freezing winter weather had forged an unbreakable bond between them long before either of them dared to label it. At first, they had both fought fiercely against the rising tide of their feelings, acutely aware of the unforgiving spotlight that constantly hovered over their every professional and personal move. The toxic culture of intense fandoms and the suffocating pressure of agency guidelines dictated that romance was a dangerous luxury they simply could not afford to indulge in. Yet, despite every cautious instinct and every logical warning telling them to keep their distance, the gravitational pull between them proved far too strong to resist. There was a specific Tuesday evening on set when everything fundamentally shifted, a memory that still brought a warm, involuntary smile to Ling Hei's face whenever he thought about it. The production had suffered a massive delay due to torrential rain, trapping the entire cast and crew inside a cramped, makeshift green room for hours with nothing to do. While everyone else had duped off to sleep or buried their faces in their phones, Ling and Shui had stayed up talking about their childhoods, their deepest insecurities, and their ultimate dreams for the future. In the quiet intimacy of that rainy night, stripped of their glamorous makeup and heavy period costumes, they stopped seeing each other as mere co-stars and finally saw the real human beings beneath. Shui remembered how easily she laughed in his presence, realizing with a sudden jolt of panic that Ling had somehow become her absolute favorite safe space in a notoriously cutthroat and chaotic industry. He possessed a rare gentleness and emotional intelligence that starkly contrasted with his towering, imposing physical stature, making it effortless for her to let down her usually fiercely guarded walls. For his part, Ling found himself completely captivated by Shui's vibrant energy, her unapologetic authenticity, and the fierce, brilliant fire that burned behind her cheerful facade. They were two broken yet resilient souls who accidentally found a profound sense of home in each other's company while navigating the lonely isolation of celebrity life. As their friendship quietly deepened into something much more tender and romantic, the challenge of keeping it hidden from the world became an Olympic sport of deception. They mastered the art of walking yards apart in public airports, communicating entirely through encrypted messaging apps even when they were staying just floors apart in the same hotel, and exchanging furtive, meaningful glances across crowded award show stages. Every successful avoidance of a paparazzi lens felt like a minor victory, but it also took a heavy emotional toll, breeding an underlying anxiety that threatened to suffocate the genuine joy of their budding love. They realized that living in constant fear of exposure was slowly poisoning the very thing they were trying so desperately to protect. The tipping point arrived earlier that week when a particularly aggressive tabloid released a heavily distorted, speculative article accompanied by blurry, out-of-context photographs taken outside a private residence. The internet immediately erupted into absolute chaos, with various factions of fans engaging in bitter online wars, trending hashtags, and spinning wild conspiracy theories that ranged from completely absurd to deeply malicious. Reading the hateful comments and seeing how easily strangers could misinterpret their lives made both Ling and Shui physically ill. They sat together on a plush hotel sofa, staring at the glowing screen of a phone, and tacitly understood that letting rumors dictate their narrative was no longer an option. "Let's just tell them the truth," Shui had whispered that night, her voice barely a murmur, yet carrying the ironclad weight of a definitive decision. Ling had looked at her, seeing the fierce determination shining in her eyes, and knew instantly that he would stand by her side no matter what the consequences might be. They spent the next 48 hours drafting a joint statement, carefully choosing every single word to ensure it was honest, respectful to their supporters, and completely devoid of corporate PR doublespeak. They did not want a sanitized, sterile announcement released by their management companies. They wanted their fans to hear the truth directly from their own hearts, unfiltered and unvarnished. The decision to open up about their relationship sent shockwaves through the global entertainment landscape the very moment it was published online. Social media servers crashed under the sheer unprecedented volume of traffic as millions of stunned followers rushed to read the confirmation with their own eyes. The reactions were as massive as they were diverse, creating a chaotic digital tempest of raw emotions that swept across platforms from Weibo to Instagram and beyond. For the first few hours, neither Ling nor Shui dared to look at their phones, bracing themselves for the inevitable backlash, the heartbreak of losing certain obsessive fans, and the unpredictable fury of the internet mob. Yet, as the dust slowly began to settle over the next couple of days, something genuinely heartwarming and entirely unexpected started to emerge from the digital rubble. A massive wave of supporters began stepping forward to express their unconditional love, joy, and deep relief that the two talented actors could finally stop hiding their happiness. Fan art celebrating their relationship flooded the timelines. Old drama clips of their on-screen chemistry were reshared with renewed appreciation, and messages of encouragement poured in from every corner of the globe. It turned out that a vast majority of their fanbase had already pieced the puzzle together months ago and were simply waiting for the couple to feel safe enough to speak their truth. Of course, not every reaction was positive, as the harsh realities of celebrity culture dictated that a vocal minority would express deep disappointment and betrayal. Some extreme fan accounts announced immediate closures, posting dramatic farewell messages and accusing the actors of ruining carefully manufactured romantic fantasies. Ling read through a few of these harsh critiques with a heavy heart, acutely aware that choosing transparency came with a painful cost that he could not entirely shield Shui from. However, he also knew that building a foundation on deception was unsustainable, and anyone who truly loved and respected them as artists would eventually learn to respect their happiness as human beings. In the days following the monumental revelation, the atmosphere on their shared film set underwent a subtle yet profoundly liberating transformation. When they arrived at work the morning after the announcement, the crew greeted them with knowing smiles, warm applause, and an overwhelming sense of shared camaraderie. The suffocating tension that had plagued their working environment for so long vanished completely, replaced by an easy, natural warmth that made long filming hours feel remarkably light. They no longer had to pretend to be mere colleagues when the director shouted cut, nor did they have to panic if a crew member happened to walk into their dressing room unexpectedly. Walking together in public for the very first time without the crushing paranoia of being hunted by paparazzi felt like breathing fresh air after being submerged underwater for months. They took a quiet, unassuming walk through a secluded public park late in the evening, wearing simple baseball caps and loose hoodies to blend into the background. For the first time, they held hands openly beneath the shelter of the night sky, their fingers interlaced with a natural ease that felt both entirely brand new and comfortingly ancient. Shui leaned her head gently against Ling Hei's broad shoulder as they strolled along the dimly lit pathway, listening to the gentle rustle of autumn leaves under their feet. "Do you regret it?" Ling asked softly, breaking the comfortable silence as he looked down at her with a tender expression painted across his face. Shui stopped walking, turned to face him directly, and laughed softly, a bright, genuine sound that echoed softly in the quiet night air. She reached up to gently adjust the collar of his jacket, her eyes shining with absolute certainty and a profound sense of peace. "Not for a single second," she replied without a moment's hesitation, her voice firm and unwavering. "For the first time in years, I actually feel like I am living my own life instead of playing a character written by someone else." Their shared journey had proven that true connection could weather the harshest storms of public scrutiny, provided it was built on mutual trust, respect, and deep emotional honesty. They understood that the road ahead would still present unique challenges, including aggressive media attention, demanding work schedules, and the delicate balancing act of maintaining a private life in a very public career. Yet, standing side by side in the cool night breeze, those daunting obstacles felt remarkably small and entirely manageable compared to the immense strength they found in each other. They were no longer two isolated figures navigating a glittering, lonely industry alone, but a unified team ready to face whatever came next. As they finally returned to their respective homes that evening, the weight of the massive secret they had carried for so long was completely gone, replaced by a liberating sense of emotional freedom. They exchanged a final late-night text message, a simple string of words that carried the weight of their new reality, a reminder that tomorrow would be a brand new day where they could simply be themselves. The shockwaves of their reveal would continue to ripple through the entertainment world for weeks to come, spawning endless editorials, talk show speculations, and fan discussions. But inside their private world, the noise of the outside industry faded into the background, drowned out by the quiet, steady rhythm of their shared happiness.